Good afternoon. So this is Asterion Burning, one of the four paintings that in the series of the closing of the gates. I should say that there were other Asterion paintings. Some of the Asterions are actually part of other series and some are not part of series. Maybe we will offer, like we will inspect more of them and put them to sell later. This is acrylic from I think April or May 2022. In the other side there is like there is the symbolic drawing in the chaos. You can see it like in the previous video, in the end of the previous video that I uploaded to YouTube. 50 on 70 centimeters. I quite like it because the colors are very intense and it's not passing well in in video. So you will need to take my word for it. I took a sample deeper than before, than the previous one, and so there is like a tiny scratch here, right here, a tiny scratch. I will fix it. I will not fix them, all of them one by one, because I need in order to do it well, I need to prepare it's working with oil also in acrylic. It requires a little bit of preparation. Certainly when I am in such in poor conditions, a small room, that's all I've got. So maybe I think that probably one of the days of this week I will I'll do a fixed day when I will prepare the colors, like both the acrylic colors and even though only tiny amounts are needed, but it should be the correct colors. So I'll just arrange everything that it requires a fix, and I will create a palette of acrylics and oils and create and fix all that is needed to fix. And as I said, the major actually obstacle is where to hang it, because you need to hang it after it's fixed. So I'll need to maybe buy nails and just you don't really need a frame for temporary hanging. You can do it with nails. Nail the canvas. Of course, you understand that when the painting is properly framed, you don't see the white. The white canvas is wrapped, stretched on a frame. You only see the color, the area with a frame of your choosing. So I'll do a fixed day, later this week of all that is needed to fix, of the ones that I will inspect. So now let's just take a look at what we have here. Acrylic, pretty old, from April, I think, 2022. So, and of course it was hanged for both in my apartment in Shom for drying, and also in my mother's balcony, because it was part of the curse, the closing of the gates. Just I will explain the basic. Asterion is the my code name. Not very cryptic, for the creature, the horned creature that is repeated in many of my paintings since the beginning. It's got quite a mythology behind it. First of all, Asterion is the name of the Minotaur from Crete in the Greek mythology. Asterion in the Cretan mythology, culture and history, is equivalent to Minotaur, but specific Minotaur that is kind of like a god. It also repeats. It resembles Satan in some ways because of the horns, at least in one of the popular depiction of Satans, and it also it's maybe in order to mention, in place to mention Jorge Luis Borges, the Argentinian writer that I'm really fond of, and I've read a lot, both like, I mean, his writing and also like secondary literature. And Asterion, I mean, the character of Asterion is, I mean, is repeated in his writings, and also the issue of the labyrinth. In some way, this is also a metaphor for myself, because I live in a labyrinth, and like I live in darkness, and like many times I feel like, I mean, many times I feel like I felt and still feel like the kind of like innocent Asterion, that is only of course his only crime is that he was born, and that's why he needs to be suffered and painted as a monster, and I mean his worst punishment is just the darkness, that, I mean, to live in the darkness. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So since it's a fresh slide, it should be difficult to actually for me, maybe you have like quick way to actually differentiate between like bubbles that are in the liquid and actually neros. This is something that happens in fresh slides that are made with fluid like alcohol, but it's needed in order to actually get the material out of the hard acrylic. So I mean, what can you do? This is of course a life form. We don't see as many life forms as we've seen in other samples. You can already tell that. But maybe we see many neros. It's still difficult for me to actually differentiate between them. Like, so yes, this is definitely a knife form. It's of course on the slide. Not as many life forms as we've seen in other ones. I don't know why. Maybe just by chance. This is another life form. This is a quite elaborate life form here, we see. Okay, so they were working on this painting, and they created life forms, and perhaps not as many as, of course, like in other ones, but yes, they have. And of course, this is only a microscopic sample. Of course, I mean, it's probably, I mean, most certainly all over the painting. So there are maybe millions of these, like, I mean, naturally. difficult to differentiate between bubbles and mirrors. That's a problem. I mean, sometimes it's a problem. Certainly when it's like a wet slide, it was just prepared. I don't have like a definitive solution for this problem. This is another life form. Here another one to the left. I guess we see both like mixture of mirrors and like bubbles in the water, and it's just difficult to differentiate. I don't have a very like definitive method. Sometimes you just know, but because of the specific shape and like the position and where where you can actually find them. This is a huge one actually, light form. Wow. And it's a light form. It's not like a it looks like it's moving, but of course it's not moving voluntarily. It's moving in the liquid, as you understand. Maybe we should zoom in. Like maybe it can move voluntarily, I don't know, but not in such a speed. I mean, it's not natural for microscopic life form to move in such a speed. This was a mechanical energy in the liquid, in the fluid. But very, very big one. A huge one, actually. Maybe we'll use even further zoom. This lens is very dirty. I need to clean it. I will do it shortly. So we have last three. Wait a second. Let's zoom out. So there he is. So let's again try to zoom in. This one is tricky. I mean, the maximum zoom, it's not really the maximum. You can use the tube lens, but it's difficult to do it. But it's like 600 or 900, 700, I don't remember. It's difficult to What's the problem? Why can't I lock on him? With elusive, that's happened when it was then there is a lot of liquid, so it's like 3D ocean that you need. Sometimes they hide like they take a dive, and you need to play with the focus in order to actually get them. You also always need it, but sometimes when there is a lot of liquid, the focus game is getting like difficult. There's a lot of liquid. Maybe we can, so instead maybe we can try to zoom in on this one. Of course, I wish I had a better microscope, but actually this one is surprisingly gives me good results. Like, I mean, it was the only one that I ever had, and I think that I've made like major discoveries with this one. So it was a good buy. Okay, this is the one. Yes. Interesting. Okay, so let's back to 64. Okay, so this is it. More life form. So I didn't see like very clear like objects that I'm certain that are Neros, like I've seen in other slides actually, but I've seen many that are suspected as such, and maybe you, I mean, the audience like have like better like ways to actually differentiate between them. But certainly we've seen life form here, not record breaking, but we've seen life forms here. This actually, this sphere looks like not like specifically like a life form, but like a environmental like creation of the Neros, because they create all sorts of like sculptures, as we know, environmental sculptures. So this looks like that. Maybe we should try to zoom in. Yes, this looks like environmental. Or maybe like, I mean, a gigantic like representation of a life form. I don't know. Certainly it's artificial, but it was created by the Neros, but I don't know what it represents or what it means. Okay, so that's it. We should continue shortly with two flags that I want to quickly do and also put to sell. Which one is the German oil flag, and another is another like the bigger, not the biggest, but the bigger Chinese oil flag. And maybe after that I will actually put to sell and also inspect another one of the four in the asteroid series, like the 5 stone series. Could be interesting. Or maybe, I mean, like I have quite a bit of like on paper, like I mean, I have several like Venus bonded drawing, but not part of like the four. I mean, in addition to the four that are part of like the series, there are also smaller ones on paper or on canvas. Maybe I should also inspect these because they're actually quite like, I would say, old. I mean, initially, I mean, when I started painting on January 2022, I mean, the first subject was the cave painting. Like, it was the first art. I've done it, like, I mean, with printing my hands, with all sorts of a technique. It was actually, technically, it was very, I mean, enlightening, because I had to, I mean, I invented all sorts of techniques. The most impressive ones are actually stayed in my mother's apartment. Not everything that I have, like, is here, but the great majority. But of the ones that stayed in my mother's apartment are several of these, cave paintings. And after that, I focused for a while during February or March 2022 on many of the Venus, the voluptuous model paintings. This was done partly because of just to practice basic technique, because I never painted or draw. I never did it before in my life. So I needed to just to acquire a little bit of technique. So a favorite subject was the Venus drawing, the voluptuous model drawings, and I still have quite a bit of those, even though some were destroyed. So maybe we'll see. First let's do the two flags that I want to put to sell, and then we shall see how we continue.